Hi everyone, and thanks for watching. This is Stephen with iFound Agent, and today I wanted to cover a common question, which is, what's the best way to send out newsletters using the iFound platform? Certainly possible. I mean, one of the great things about our website is that they're built on WordPress, which means they're really powerful and really flexible and customizable for that matter. So if you want to send out newsletters, one of the best ways to do it, I think, would be to um, generate your newsletter as a blog post, because blog posts, as we know, help us on SEO in regards to SEO, and content helps Google see that we keep updating our site. So we want it to be a blog post for that reason, and then also because we want people to come back to the source of the information, which is our website. And when they're on our website, we're driving traffic here. We just have so much more opportunity for engagement with our clients and new people, more opportunity to lead capture and brand and all that good stuff. So we want to bring them back to the ship, which is your website. So the way we're going to do this, again, we're going to do a blog post, and one special thing you're going to notice in this process is that we're actually not going to send one email all the time to everyone. We're going to set up an automatic recurring campaign, which our system is designed to do pretty well. And we're going to bring them back to a location that's going to have all of our newsletters with the most recent one on top. And the reason why we're going to do that is because, once again, we don't have to do a blast email every time we do a newsletter. We just have to make sure when we get new clients, we put them on our newsletter campaign. And this also kind of gives us a little bit of wiggle room. If you're trying to do a newsletter every week, that aggressive, and you miss a week, well, that's okay. If somebody clicks on the link, it's just going to show them the most recent updated newsletter, and they can see that, whichever one is your most recent is on top. If they've already seen it, they can move on, or they can look back at it. But then once they get that email again, the next time they come back and look at it, again, your most recent newsletters will be at the top, giving them more or less an archive of past newsletters as well if they want to look through those. So there's a lot of benefits for doing it this way, and it's kind of a common question. Even though we don't have specific newsletter functionality, it's something that's pretty easy to accomplish just within the confines of WordPress and with the power of our marketing platform. So, all right, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a blog post category for newsletters. And I'm already at the screen. You can see the screen here. But if you've just logged into your website, you would go under Posts and then Categories. So let's just say I just logged into my dashboard. This is how it would look. I would look down here for Posts, which is pretty high up in my list. Then I would go to Categories. All right, so now I have my categories. You can have as many categories as you want for your blog posts. I'm going to make one for newsletters. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm talking about newsletters today, but this same process could apply to any sort of series you want to keep marketing to. So if you have a very niche market and you want to keep coming up with new content all about that niche, target audience that you work around, you could come up with a special series, a seller series, a buyer series, all kinds of fun stuff you could do, all around that one target audience or market that you've come up with. So newsletters is just, I think, a little more one size fits all. A lot of people like doing newsletters. We like you guys to send listing data along with everything, but sometimes it's good to mix it up, right? I mean, maybe just be a little more than a one-trick pony. You can send out some other content and see if it helps you, whether it's recipes or popular searches or whatever you'd like to do as a part of your newsletter. So, all right, jumping right in here, again, categories. I'm going to add a name, newsletter, if I can spell. Slug just means like, what do you want the URL to say? So any blog post under this category might show up as like, scottsdalelatestlistings.com/newsletters, something like that. So slug is just like, what do you want the URL to look like? Which means it should be lowercase. It should be, it shouldn't have any spaces, maybe dashes instead of spaces, something to that effect. Parent category, I'm not going to worry about that. In description, I really don't need one of those either. I'm just going to leave it at that. So just as easy as that, I've made a category. Now you can see it on the right hand side. I have my newsletter category. Currently I have no blog posts under that category. That's what that count means right there. Okay, so perfect. So from here, I think the best thing for us to do is go ahead and just start our first newsletter. So once again, that's going to be in the form of a blog post. So we're going to go back under posts, go to add new, and I'm just going to say news November 2017 newsletter. So I'm going to set this up as if I'm going to do a newsletter every month, and we'll give it that title. Down here, maybe we want to have my favorite or my recipe for the month. You know, I'm just going to put in some generic content here so you get an idea. I mean, this is a what you see is what you get editor, meaning you can put whatever content in here that you want using the tools that are right here. Maybe for my first area, I want to have this as a heading, so I'm going to choose my format. And I'm going to use heading 2. By the way, guys, you rarely want to use heading 1. That's really supposed to be meant for the title of the page. So heading 2, and then down here, maybe I want to add a picture, so I can hit this Add Media button, and here's a birthday cake picture that I use for something else, but maybe I'm going to be doing a recipe for birthday cake. So I've just inserted that, and now I'm going to just say, step 1, buy cake mix. I'm obviously being a little silly here, but you could go ahead and just put in whatever content you like. Remember, if you wanted to do if you wanted to add in search data, you can always do that as well. I'm going to add another heading in here, and maybe I want to do another search. So I would click my little blue house button, open it up, and get the search creator. And I could use my criteria to put in some sort of search, for whatever type of home I wanted to do. So, so once I'm done putting in all my criteria, I can just say, oh, okay, create and save the search. Put my search data in there. Two important things that get missed on all blog posts is the featured image. So let me actually hide that real quick. So featured image right here. So on the right hand side, we always want to make sure we have a featured image. This is the image that social media is going to use and your website will use to make the post look good. So maybe I'll just leave that birthday cake because that was my recipe, right? So I'll use that image. Very nice. Okay, so then the most important thing here is the newsletter category. I need to select that right here in this categories box. I now have newsletter because I just created that. And then I can publish this. Okay. All right, so those newsletters, I know since I'll be making a lot of them, I want people to be able to access them on my site often. So what I'm going to do is I want to add them to my menu. So I think that's a good step to do before we get too far into this. So I'm going to go to Appearance and Menus. And I have a separate video on how to add a blog post, how to add searches to your blog posts. That featured image, we have a video on that. We have a video about editing your menu. Your menu, by the way, is those tabs at the top of your site. First, you want to select the proper menu, so the main menu or header menu. I'm going to select that one first. I have all kinds of options. So pay close attention here. So I want to go down to categories, and these are blog post categories. And this gives me, I can say I need a link to all of my newsletter blog posts, and I want to add this to the menu. And whenever I hit add to menu, it always puts it at the very bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and put this under my blog heading. And I think we did this for a demo as a test. I don't think I need that anymore. So under my blog heading, I want to put a newsletter category because, again, these newsletters are blogs first. And so if somebody wants to just look up all my newsletters, this will provide them a link to all my newsletters right there. So I'm going to hit the Save menu. Okay. Now I'm going to go look at my site and make sure this all came through. So here's my site. Let me zoom out a little bit so I can see my menu properly. Under blog, now you see newsletter because that's where I just put it in the menu. And here's my first newsletter. All right, perfect. So then as I start more and more blog posts, you're going to see the newest ones come up first. And this right here, this page with all of my newsletters, this is where I want to start sending my clients on an ongoing basis. Because again, I want them to see my newsletters, but I want this to be flexible for me at the same time. So from this point, I need to copy this link. This link right here says go to my website. Blog category is newsletter, and I'm going to copy that link. All right, and then now I'm going to make a newsletter. Next, I'm going to make a newsletter email template because I want to be doing this often. I don't want to have to recreate the wheel every time I create a campaign. So let me go ahead and make an email template, and I'll go ahead and hit Add New, and we're going to call this our newsletter template. Newsletter template. Subject. And then I want to use one of these merge tags, first name. I'm going to drop this right here in the subject. Here is a link to a just putting something generic in here. So I would use that merge tag for the first name, so whatever my contact's first name is. Maybe that's Stephen, right? Stephen, here's a copy. Here is a copy of your monthly newsletter. I mean, I could get more creative with this, but I won't for training purposes. Here is a copy of your monthly newsletter. Click the link below to see it now. All right, so then now I'm going to paste that link, and I'm going to do one step extra, which is highlight the whole thing and use this insert edit link function. And since I have my link highlighted, everything looks good, so I just have to hit apply. This just verifies what link it's going to, which is good. All right, so now that link is in there, and I don't have to do anything else other than mark this as a content template, which means it's going to be like the email body. And I'm going to publish this template so I can use it later. All right, now that I've done all my prep work, so now all I have to do is on a continuing basis, the next time I want to add a new newsletter, I would go to Posts and Add New, and I would continue, like every month, maybe put myself on a schedule. I would continue to make a new newsletter and just make sure I use the newsletter category. And then anytime somebody clicks that link, it'll bring them back to the page where the most recent newsletters first. And again, like I said in the beginning, that gives me a little bit of wiggle room, right? So if my email goes out October 1st and I don't have, like December 1st, and I don't have a newsletter just yet ready, well then they'll see November's and they can still get some content, or they'll see a history and they'll still get some content out of this. But hopefully I'm consistent enough and it'll be ready for them. All right, and then the other thing that I have to do on an ongoing basis is just make sure that all my contacts get in and get set up on a newsletter campaign. So I would come over to my campaign builder, and I'd look up my contact. So this one's going to be to Stephen. Here he is. There's Stephen. And I don't need to do this, this one is not about a search, so I'm just going to skip over all this search criteria stuff. Don't need it, so I'm just going to skip right past it. And put newsletters monthly for the campaign title, monthly newsletters for Stephen. Recurring, I want to send this once a month. What time of day? It's a little later in the afternoon right now, so I think I'd rather it go like around 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I want this to start maybe December 1st. I could have it start now, or I could have it start a little later in the month, maybe even December 1st if I don't have a newsletter that's totally ready yet. So we're going to do that, and then end date, I can put one in here, or I can just leave it blank. So that's cool. And then header, default's fine. Signature, default. Actually, I'm going to use mine. On this website, we have a few different agents using it. And here's my signature. Footer, default is fine. This one's coming from me. So I'm going to put my name in here. From email, I needed to adjust that because Dale's not sending this email, I am. And I'll just use my support email. Notification type, this is mostly for organization purposes, unless you're doing a specific search with listings, which I'm not. Newsletter's an option, so I can choose that. And then campaign template, I should have a newsletter template that I just made. In fact, I've done this a couple times, so here's newsletter template. So once I click that, here it is. First name here is the copy of your newsletter. And it looks like some of the spacing didn't come through, so let me just fix that manually. Boom. I think that looks good enough just as it is. And now I can go ahead and just save that campaign. All right, so that's all done. And if I go into my contact and I look up Stephen, I have 2 contacts in here with my name in it. And I should see monthly newsletter campaign under email campaigns, monthly newsletter for Stephen. So it's saved. So every time I get a new contact, I just need to make sure to add them to the campaign in that same way. I'm going to just recap on that back on the campaign builder. I just chose my contact. I skipped the search section because I'm not sending them any listings at this time. I had to just come straight down over here to campaign title and made a campaign title specific for that client. I don't need to create a separate blog post about this because we're not doing, I already have a blog post. I set up the recurring for once a month. Time of day, I could do, this time of day, which is 3:11 p.m., or I could choose a different time of day, and 10 a.m. sounds good to me. Start date, whenever you want it to start. You want it to be on the 1st of every month. You want it to be a week later to give you some time to finish it. Or, maybe you're doing a weekly newsletter, and this should be once a week. All right, so any special requirements you may have for branding as far as your email header or signature, you can choose your from information. So make sure that all looks good. Notification type was newsletter. And then campaign template was the one I just made, newsletter template. And it brought in all the necessaries. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching.